So, as Tamara mentioned, my name's on the screen anyway. My name's LisaMaries Vecchio. I am a graphic designer and a muralist, and I create art with the intention of spreading hope, empowerment, and joy through my artwork. Alright, I'm just gonna see what happens. Oh, hey, nice to meet you all. Thanks for coming out this morning. So, this is me. So how did I go from working as a graphic designer for 13 years to going freelance? Because when I was at uni, I never wanted to be a freelancer. It just didn't excite me. So here I am. How did that happen? Well, it's a bit of FOMO mixed with a bit of burnout during COVID. So while everyone was sort of being made redundant and making the banana bread, I was at work as an essential service, and I thought, okay, cool, I'm so grateful I have a job, but I kind of want to be at home. I want to be making the banana bread. I want to be watching the Netflix and watching Tiger King and enjoying my life. So it was a little bit like, okay, I'm just going to bury that seed and be really grateful and move on with my life. But, you know, I didn't, it was still there. I couldn't ignore it. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm just going to file that for another day. Because my creativity was just needing that little bit more. I wasn't feeling fulfilled in my current job as much. It was amazing. It was my dream job for church. I was like, yeah, you know, evolving into something else, but don't know how to get there. So this is me now. 90% of my work is service-based. So I have a selection of art and prints available on my website. So there we go, there's my website. Don't want to block it off. If you are a colour lover and words of affirmation person, this is your jam. Also, I've got some postcards on the tables. So you can take a couple and send them to friends and give them a little bit of bright, fun, happy thoughts. So, also if you are on, sneaky plug, if you're on the hunt for a graphic designer, hit me up. That's my email address. Please be nice. Also, if you are needing branding, logos, murals. I do murals now, guys. Hit me up. Also, if none of the above apply to you, just hit me up. We'll go for a coffee. We'll be best friends. It'll be awesome. So, for this month's topic of depth, I started brainstorming and thinking, what can I do? And where words fail me, I just draw stuff. So, I drew a little sketch. The cycle of life seasons. So everyone in this room today could probably identify with where they are right now on this, cycle. So some of you have your mountaintop moments, you're loving life, you're crushing it, this is awesome. And that's the place where we want to be, right? We all want to be loving life sick. And then you come over and you're like, okay, cool. Some of us are not on that mountaintop moment. We are in the, I don't know what's going on, and it's a little bit weird, I'm a bit scared, We've got the rain clouds coming, and it's like a Brisbane summer where the humidity's hitting you and you know a storm's coming and you don't know when it's going to hit, but you know when it hits it's not good. I don't know what's happening, but this is not fun season. And then we got the depth, we got the rolling in the deep, or I like to call it the Adele season. You are just drowning in your tears and it's not fun. But this season is just as important as any other season, especially the mountaintop, because we grow here. It's in the hidden depths that we bloom for our next season, which is spring and everything's good before we come around to our mountaintop moment again. So, as much as we hate change and it's super hard to just deal with life when it's falling apart, as I said, we really need the depth season because we need the rain to grow. So if you find yourself in a season of depth today, if you're kind of like, that's me, hey, you are in really good company because it's okay. We're all going to get through it. And just be aware that good things are coming and you're getting refined from the inside out. So my story of depth started about five years ago. I was loving life. I was in my mountaintop moment. I was newly married, about 6 months. Incredible man, and we had just bought our first house together out in, and it was just like a beautiful family home, working our dream jobs for church and looking to start a family soon. And then one day my lovely husband sits me down and he says, look, I'm gay, I'm leaving church, I'm quitting my job, we're selling this house, I'm moving out, and we're getting divorced. Like, what the heck? My mountaintop moment went very quickly to the depths within a 3-hour conversation. Sorry, what? Did I just dream that? What was going on with my life? It was just such a bizarre moment. I felt like I had aged about 20 years in the space of like that 3-hour conversation. And I thought, I'm too young to be dealing with this. I don't want to be divorced by 30. So, back up a little bit. How did we get to that point? So, backstory is my husband at the time saw marriage as a way to fix himself. But obviously it doesn't work like that, right? However, he was conflicted because he desired to have, a wife, kids, be a pastor, all those things, but obviously it wasn't lining up with what was going on the inside. So when he realised marriage was sort of amplifying this conflict, he thought it was best just to be honest and open and let me know what was going on in his life. And there was more below the surface, and as amicably as we possibly could, we split ways. So then I was kind of like, what's going on in my life? Like, I was Oprah, right? Naturally, I had a lot of deep questions from what was going on. Why didn't he feel safe to tell me these things before he got married? Did he ever love me? He's Mr. Perfect, he doesn't keep secrets. Could I ever trust anyone again? Do I ever want to get married again? Do I ever want kids, or is that something that society puts on us, as females? What's life? I have no idea. I was really lost for a long period of time. I was in denial. And as lost and confused as I was, I found I had an incredible support system of family friends around me. And they would encourage me and point me back to my true north. So I had a few friends that would, maybe 3 of them, they came to me and they had the same vision, and they're like, I just need to let you know this vision. So I drew it. And the story goes, they're like, you're this tree, and it's stripped, and it's bare, and there's nothing going on the surface, and it's dead. And I'd say, thank you. Thank you, really encouraging. And they're like, wait, I'm not done yet with this vision because there's more below the surface. You see, Lisa, there's things going on in your life, and it looks dead at the big, up top, it's dead, but in the depth, it's growing, and it's beautiful, and it's lush. And I just want to encourage you, there's things going on the inside of your life that you don't realise, but it's actually going to be okay, because one day, all that depth and all that goodness is going to make its way up, and it's going to come out, and it's going to be incredible. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to keep going, I'm not going to give up, because this vision was such an anchor for me in my really hard seasons, because it was incredibly hard. I was super depressed, my grief was overwhelming, and I just worked to sort of, get a handle on life. I don't know, I became a workaholic. I refused to take a break from work because, it kind of distracted me. But I also decided to stay in the same church that I met my husband in, only because I had a great support system there and I felt safe. But also, working and attending there, it was kind of hard because I had all these memories still there with him. So I was still there, and then to top it off, I also stayed in the same home that we had bought all these years ago. So I was really just not going anywhere in life, and I was wondering what was wrong with me. I had, super massive denial period, so I was like, all right, we're just going to shut it down till I can, work stuff out. But compliments like, you're so brave, you're so strong, you're amazing, was lovely to hear, but it actually would make it worse because I felt like I had to keep up this persona of the perfect person. But little did people know I was just struggling and didn't know how to deal with it. Until I was like, you know what, I've had enough, and I'm just going to be honest and start speaking my truth and start being honest about how depressed I am, and it's going to be okay if I lose friends because it is what it is. So I took that mask off and decided to take some radical action in my life. So I sat down because I was having a lot of problems, as in not just mental health problems, but physical problems like stomach aches and acne and just brain fog, all that stuff. I was just like, this needs to stop. So I took a good hard look at my life and started brutally cutting out the things that weren't serving me and that were hard to carry. So I had those high mortgage repayments and housemates. I was like, you know what? It's time to sell the house. And the house was like sold within a month. I'm like, oh, okay, didn't know that was gonna happen. Cool, all right, and I got a bit of confidence. I was like, what else can I do in my life to just, make me feel better? So I went to work and I'm like, hey guys, I'm gonna take 6 months off. Do you wanna support me in that? And crazy enough, they said, yes, sure, we would love to help you out. And I was like, okay, cool. See you in 6 months. And I took my break and I was like, okay, what do I do in my life? It was good though. And you know what, speaking up was incredibly hard. And it was weird and awkward and messy, and I would put my foot in it sometimes, but I was so much happier to look weak and sensitive and burdensome in return for having complete freedom. I was giving myself permission to be an unfiltered, awkward mess, and I was loving it. So during my 6 months off work, I filled my time with art therapy. I bought an iPad and I drew daily, and these are just some examples of some of the artwork and the themes I was going through. And then people would be like, oh, so what do you do all day? I'm like, I watch Dr. Phil. I sleep, I go to gym, I see a friend for coffee. It was nothing extraordinary, and a few people got really weirded out about that. They're just like, she does nothing all day. But I was actually loving it. I was feeling like I was getting a breakthrough, even though my family and friends were like, she's crazy, she's lost the plot, guys, just... Anyway, it was good. It doesn't care anymore because I had lost that mask of pretending what other people thought of me. So, as I said, it was nothing extraordinary, but to me, it was like coming up for air for the first time in a long time. It looked like I was unproductive and lazy, but I was just getting all my feelings out, and it was great. And I was sharing it on social media because taking the time to sit in silence, do art therapy, and mentally processing life's big questions was so imperative for me to have that breakthrough. And sharing art on social media, I was getting a lot of friends and strangers reach out and say, look, I needed to see that today. This has changed my perspective on stuff. It's given me hope. I'm like, this is great. I love what I'm doing right now. So then how can I replicate it? Because when I go back to work, I'm not going to be able to do any of this stuff. So again, those seeds that were there, and I'm like, okay, how do I make this work? I was enjoying drawing so much that I thought I'd challenge myself. I got a little bit more confidence. I'm like, I'm going to do something crazy. And for me, painting a mural was crazy, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. And I reached out to Artforce. They gave me a little traffic signal box in Greenslopes, and I thought, oh Jesus, help me, what do I say on this? Like, I've got one shot just to let people know that they've got hope and things are going to be okay. So high hopes in Greenslopes was the little tagline, and it picked up and started getting people that would drive past and be like, oh, this is what I needed to see today. I feel so much better. And I'm like, this is great. I'm like, okay, cool. Again, that thinking of, how can I do this when I get back to work? Because I have no time to do this when I'm at work. So after 6 months, I was back at work, and I'm like, I said to one of my friends, Lou, who works with me, I was like, what am I doing here? And she's like, babe, just go. I'm like, I'm writing my resignation letter. And she's like, you write your resignation letter. I was like, okay, cool. I'm like, you write your resignation letter too. And we're like, did you write yours? She's like, no. I'm like, all right, I'm sending mine in. I'm going to Mike. I'm putting it in. Anyway, so I did, and they were so excited to just be like, awesome. We wish you all the best. We love you. Just sent me off. It was like ended really well. So then I went from working full time with a wage to freelancing. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. As much as I was in my growth season, I was like, okay, now what do I do about money? Because I had a steady income stream until now. So getting through that, I put some savings aside, but I knew I had to hustle a little bit, as much as I hate the word. And also at the same time, I had purchased a house and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make this my own. It's gonna be nothing like my old life. I'm just going to fill it with murals and try my hand at it, because if I want people to pay me for murals, I'm gonna have to get good at like painting it at my own house. Yeah, and moved on from that. So as much as this new season was all about blooming and rebuilding, it was like, okay, cool, how do I do this freelancer life? Did a little bit of research, and it turns out that the government offers support for new business now because they saw what we were all doing in COVID, and they're like, oh, okay, maybe we could get on board with this. So, you know, things like free study, business mentorship, you know, they get us on job seeker, like they look after us. So if you are here today and you're kind of like, I might do the freelancing gig, I might give it a go, we'll have a chat, I'll give you some links. I'm not affiliated with the government or anything, I'm just letting you know what I did, and it's worked out so far, it's pretty good. I can ship that. So, since focusing on full-time work, I've had some pretty cool opportunities come up. I had Artforce reach out to me again and say, hey look, do you want to do a traffic signal box in West End? I was like, I would love to. Then Lifeline down the road took some shots in front of it, and didn't know this at the time, but they were collaborating with Vogue and used like my backdrop, and then ended up on the Vogue website. I'm like, okay, cool, all right, we can work with this, don't freak out, it's fine. And they told me like last minute, they were like, oh, by the way, we're using like your artwork, hope you're okay. I'm like, absolutely, but what? Vogue? Okay, cool. Also, I was approached by clothing company Shein, and they were like, hey, we really like your designs, do you want to do a capsule collection? I was like, cool. Again, had some, you know, existing artwork that I just licensed to them, and that was fun because everything was bright and colourful, encouraging. It was like getting my message out there to a younger audience. And most recently, I've teamed up with Brisbane City Council and designed some wayfinding decals that were installed around Stones Corner to direct them to the new park rejuvenation that they've had. And it's really fun to see little pops of colour, you know, through my local area, which is fun. So to wrap up, although Plan A hadn't worked out for my life, I'm thankful to live and exist in a place where I've found my voice and pursue what brings me the most joy. And while there are still so many questions that are left unanswered in my life, what I do know, it's okay to embrace the messy, deep seasons we find ourselves in sometimes. Because our biggest, most painful inconveniences can turn out to be our greatest redirections. And that's it, that's me.